Boom. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Fort Macon State Park. This is our normal Wednesday afternoon evening gun program. This is a program we've been doing for some years now. The program is entitled the Evening Gun Program, and refers to something, a little tradition that would have been carried on here at Fort Macon and all other military posts of the United States Army back in the 19th century. And what that would be in the evening time, when a fort like this was actually manned or in use, it was commonplace that when evening came, sunset, a little ceremony would be taking place. What that would be is that in a fort like this, they'd be getting prepared for the night. They would call their guards in, close the main gates, the main doors. The flag would be pulled down at the end of the day. And then one of the fort's cannons would be fired in, I guess you would say, the salute of the end of the military day. A cannon would be fired, and since this was done at evening time, every evening, it came to be called the firing of the evening gun, and that's what we're going to do today. This tradition actually goes back quite a long ways, back to medieval times. Back in the days, medieval forts, it was commonplace that when the fort or the castle was getting ready to close for the night, they would fire one of the cannons, and that was a signal to any of the soldiers who happened to be outside the castle. Maybe they're on guard duty or work detail. When they heard that cannon fire, they knew the castle was closing, and they needed to stop whatever they were doing and go back to the castle for the night. A cannon was always used for this purpose because a cannon could be heard further across the countryside than, say, a drum or a bugle or something like that. So when the castle was closing for the night, boom, anybody who's outside, soldiers outside, knew to stop and come in for the night. Now later on, when we had the traditions of using flags for national pride, the traditional lowering of a flag at a military post at sunset, the end of the day, was incorporated into this evening gun program. So not only did you secure the fort or the castle for the night, but when you pull the flag down, boom, the evening gun was fired. That's where this little tradition comes from. And this would have been included here at Fort Macon every night. Some military posts today even still do some variation of an evening gun firing or program or something. So it's a little tradition, and we're kind of honoring that and throwing back to it by doing a little program of our own here. Now, when a cannon was fired, they didn't fire a cannonball out of it. It was just a blank gunpowder charge, and that's what we're going to use today, just like they would have done back in those days. We're not shooting an actual cannonball. If we were to do that, well, I'd be having paperwork for the remainder of my career, which would probably be short, because I'm sure there's a lot of fishermen out there and people in boats, and they don't really like cannons being fired at them for real. So this is just a blank gunpowder charge, just like they would have used back then. The cannon we are firing, the cannon you see right here behind me, back over here, is a replica of what is known as a Model 1841 Navy 32-pounder. This cannon is called a 32-pounder because it fired a cannonball that weighed 32 pounds, you got it. As a weapon in combat, this cannon could fire a 32-pound ball at a range of 1,756 yards. That is 4 yards short of a mile. Well, how far is that? Well, those of you who can see, if you'll take a look out here across the inlet, out there across Beaufort Inlet, you'll see an island on the other side over there. That's Shackelford Banks. Shackelford Banks, from here to that beach, is just over a mile. So in other words, this cannon could fire all the way across the inlet and almost hit the beach on the opposite side. Of course, if an enemy ship was coming in, it's going to be in the middle of the channel, and boom, we're going to blow him out of the water. So that's just one type of cannon. Fort Macon had other cannons with even greater range. The cannon here at the top of the stairs in front of me, an 8-inch Columbiad, fired a 65-pound ball, 2.7 miles. The cannon you folks are standing by right here is a rifled cannon, which could fire up to about 5 miles. So Fort Macon had some pretty cool stuff back in the day. All right. What I'd like to do now, to call your attention to our cannon crew. The cannon crew for these little programs we have every Wednesday is provided by our neighbors right across over here, U.S. Coast Guard Base Fort Macon. These folks are active duty Coast Guard personnel. They are kind enough, at the end of the day, to come over here and provide the Canon crew for this little program that we do every Wednesday. They're volunteers. They're doing it just out of the goodness of their hearts and everything. And we couldn't do this program without them. So how about us giving them a big hand, okay? There you go. And what you've seen them do so far, the Canon has been rolled out of battery. This is the loading position. What you would do is roll the top carriage of the Canon back to the rear. That would give you access to the muzzle. Remember, these old Canons are muzzle loaded. Everything's got to be pushed in the muzzle in the front, rammed down, and then boom, fire back out. The reason you roll the Canon to the rear is in combat, you would not want to be standing on the wall trying to load this Canon because you'd be shot down very quickly. Rolling the Canon to the rear allows the Canon crew to load the Canon from behind the wall here, so they are protected. So what they've done is clean the Canon out. When we get ready to go here in just a few moments, the command will be load. What they will do is take a powder charge, insert it in the muzzle. The number 1 and 2 cannoneers in the front will ram the powder charge all the way down into the Canon, all the way to the back. Then the command will be in battery. And when that's done, the Canon will be rolled forward. Oh, we got a target here, cool. How about that? The Canon will be rolled forward into battery, which is the firing position all the way to the front. The command point will be given, that is the aiming command. Numbers 1 and 4 cannoneers will move the Canon back and forth to bring the muzzle on target while the gunner is sighting the piece. Now, when the Canon is about ready to be fired, it's a little bit different from what you see in the movies. In the movies, when you fire a cannon like this, don't they always have a little fuse or a wick thing sticking out of the top? You stand there with your box of matches or your Bic lighter, or if you're Clint Eastwood in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, you use your cigar. Light the fuse and psst, boom, the cannon fires. Is that how it's really done? No. That, my friends, is Hollywood. These cannons are not fired like that. That is Hollywood. These cannons are fired with a mechanical detonator called a friction primer. It's a copper tube full of gunpowder and a composition like what you have on the head of a match. The primer is attached to a firing cord called the lanyard. The gunner will be standing on the cannon. He will insert the primer in the little hole on top of the cannon. The number 3 cannoneer will have a hold of the lanyard. At the command fire, number 3 cannoneer pulls the lanyard. It rips the ring out of the primer explodes, and boom, the cannon fires. That is how it is done, not with a fuse or a wick. So see, you learned something today. Cool, all right. Well, anyway, just a moment, we're going to continue the process. Now, I know it's not evening. Why are we doing it now? Well, if we waited till evening, the park would be closed and you wouldn't be here. You'd have to have gone home. So what we're going to do now is pretend that it's evening, and then we will go through and continue with the firing of the evening gun. So what I'd like you to do now, let's pretend it's sunset. Let's pretend the sun has gone down, it's getting dark, it's dusk. Let's say we've pulled our soldiers from outside the fort in. Let's say we've closed the main gates for the night. We've pulled the flag down, let's say, and now it's time to fire the evening gun. Here we go. is the evening gun. As I said, this would have been done every night when Fort Macon was in use, when the flag was pulled down and so forth. By the way, that's a half powder charge of 3 pounds. The normal combat load for this cannon would be 6 pounds with a cannonball. Imagine how loud that would be. All right. Folks, thank you for coming to the Evening Gun program. If you like what you see, come back next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. This coming Saturday is Cannon Day in Fort Macon. And during the day, Saturday, the 19th, we'll be firing 5 different cannons in the fort throughout the day at different times. So if you come back on Saturday, you will see many other cannons being fired at Fort Macon the way it would have been when the fort was in use. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon. Take care.
That was loud.